Oh, cold open, all right.
Yeah, apparently the joke is already over. Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon Roundtable. I am much healthier this week, thankfully, as we come back to another episode of the Beacon Roundtable. For those of you who celebrate, I did want to say Happy Valentine's Day to you. Happy consumer holiday to all of you who want to burn your life savings on tangible objects to show your affection that you should do every single day. But may all the chocolate plants who have given their energy and being to fuel this holiday, may you enjoy the fruits of their life cycle.
Do you like chocolate covered coffee beans, Chris? Do you like coffee?
I don't really drink coffee. No, most of my caffeine that I drink is cold.
You can have cold coffee, by the way.
Yes, I know, but
cold brew is great.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
You ever had a nitro cold brew?
No, but you know what I had for the first time last week? I had, for any of you who know, I'm a big boba tea enthusiast. And recently I've starting to expand my horizons. I had a Vietnamese iced coffee boba drink, and it was tremendous. It's an interesting thing because they used evaporated milk, I guess, which is kind of like, that's how you make caramel. Like you can, an easy way to do it is if you just take a can of sweetened condensed milk or evaporated milk and you just put it into a thing of boiling water and you let it go for like an hour or so, it turns into a can full of caramel. And then so you just pour that into some really dark, strong coffee, and you add some other stuff, and I guess that's Vietnamese iced coffee, but add that with some really fun, sweet brown sugar boba. Yeah, it's good. It was good stuff. Changed my mind about coffee because I'm not really a big coffee drinker. I know you, sir, are a big coffee drinker.
I'm a burgeoning coffee nerd.
I am a foodie. Thank you, Karen.
You know, if you don't have a burr grinder or you're really drinking coffee, that's what I got to say. But
I guess it depends on what you use a burr grinder for.
Anyway. Sir, what you use it for
Hmm.
is you don't buy the pre-ground cheap stuff.
That's true.
You buy whole beans only. And then second point, you don't use a grinder with blades in it because the blades add heat and friction to the coffee grinding process, which means that you're already cooking the coffee before you've even begun to brew it. So by using a grinding process that does not heat up the coffee, you are getting it ready for the next stage of brewing with it not being unevenly ground. So, yeah, the coffee nerd stuff. I'm not, I don't have an espresso machine. I don't really French press, so I don't really claim.
You don't do the Japanese style drip coffee either?
No, that takes too much time. But what is an easy hack for 100% better coffee in very little time commitment is buy whole beans, use a burr grinder. That's all.
Okay. Well, I will say for anybody who is looking for something easy, if you watch the Super Bowl, Jack Dorsey, founder, I forgot what he founded. Well, he definitely founded Square, and he was a former CEO of Twitter. He was wearing this shirt at the Super Bowl because he sat next to Beyonce, according to her commercial, and Jay-Z. So if you were curious about where to find this shirt, I have provided the link to you. Please go out and purchase it if you really want to. Again, it's in the style of Nirvana. Just says Satoshi. For those of you who are not aware, the creator of Bitcoin is a shadowy figure or cadre of figures named Satoshi Nakamoto. And you can actually buy this shirt using Bitcoin. So if you're looking, hopefully the fees are good. Hopefully inscriptions are not clogging up the network. But you too can be like Jack Dorsey if that's something you'd like to do. There you go. There's your alpha for today. We can go home now.
T-shirt alpha?
T-shirt alpha. There we go. But, you know, I was kidding about that. But what I'm not kidding about is we are 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away. Well, I guess we're technically 2 weeks away from the main event of ETH Denver on the 28th of February. I'm very excited for all of you to be there if you're going to be there. The Beacon crew will be there. Myself, Andrew, Gabe, Jangle will all be there. If you're going to be in ETH Denver and you're part of our free communities, let us know. We are having a spot where we're having some networking events. I'm going to be doing a workshop from there as well. I'd love to meet with you. If you see me around the Western Pavilion, amongst the thousands of people who will be walking the floors on those days, please stop me, pick my brain, give me a secret handshake, a hug. Would love to meet you.
Do you want to give them a secret handshake so that if they're, you know, the Anons lurking on YouTube have a way to greet you?
Let me prep that for next week. It's going to take a little bit because I want to make sure it's perfect.
I'm going to work on a secret handshake.
Yeah, I don't go into hand movements very, very quickly. It's a very thoughtful, very calculated process. I want to make sure that, you know, if I look at you and say Valor Morgulis, you know, something like that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's not going to be like that, but you know.
Oh man.
Give
him the shake and bake.
Don't make me cough. Well, Andrew, you're actually going early because you're going to be, you know, participating in the hackathon.
We'll see. We'll see on the participation part, but yes.
But you'll be there just taking it in, right?
We are now less than a week away, as in less than 7 days away from my flight to Denver. So I feel like I'm gonna be like moving to Denver for 3 weeks. It's gonna be great.
For anybody who might be local to that area or just might be in that area during that time, and they have an IT background, could you give a quick rundown on the importance of what the hackathon experience is like? Yourself being a veteran of hackathons.
Yeah. So, I mean, if someone's an IT veteran, then they know what a hackathon is, because this isn't a new thing. This is not just a crypto or DeFi thing, but the beauty of the ETH Denver hackathon in particular is there's going to be people, there's going to be developers, business development people, marketing people from all around the world here for this event. And they are going to be, some of them are going to be just competing for bounties. Others are going to be launching a business or launching a project. So the pace of work and the pace of iteration and the amount of super smart people, super smart builders that are all in a space together is really magical, because you know, the hackathon portion of the event is about learning and making things. And a lot of things get made really quickly when you bring a bunch of smart, motivated people together, lock them in a room for a week, and they're all competing against each other for money. So it's frankly, it's magical. If someone's local or if they're coming to the hackathon for the first time, there is no reason not to get involved with the hackathon, regardless of your level of technical knowledge. There is likely going to be a team that needs people, and that could use your support. So if you are someone that is looking to get into the space as a founder or as an employee, you just jump in the ring and do it. It's easier than you think.
Yeah, and they've got the full setup there. I can tell you with experience from last year, there's a full beanbag city, if you want to call it that, where they have like full spots where you can reserve a giant beanbag to sleep on, and there's power, there's air conditioning or heat or whatever, showers, bathrooms. You know, it's a full
Snacks,
experience.
everything
Snacks.
a developer needs.
It's a full experience, and you're amongst thousands of others who are going to be in your spot, hopefully coming up with the next great innovations that we're going to see in crypto, DeFi, and on-chain finance. So, yeah, it's a special place for us at Beacon, and I'm excited to celebrating our time there again this year. And I look forward to seeing all of you there. And again, if you haven't thought about it and you'd like to join us, please feel free. Let us know. We'll be happy to meet with you and say hello. But let's talk about the big news of the week, and that would probably be, I don't know, Bitcoin at 50K. What do you think, Andrew?
I mean, is it a big deal? You tell me, Chris.
Well, here's the thing, right?
Big deal.
The thing about it is that we are not that far off. My God, it reclaimed 51.5. We're not far off. We're much closer to the all-time high of 2021 than we were a year ago, right? Back in, the Shadowlands, and where people were, looking at 16K BTC. I mean, here we are 3x from that moment. So if you bought down there, good for you. Enjoy the spoils of what this possibly could look like. Another big thing about what's going on is that the crypto fear and greed index today is a 74. Yesterday was a 79. Ultimately, we're seeing fear and greed levels at just very large highs from where we were. Honestly, what felt like last week, when really it was quite a bit ago. But yeah, I mean, we are very close to where the number was when we were at the all-time highs back in 2021 and 2022. In your opinion, Andrew, how do you feel that the fear and greed index plays into the majority of investor sentiment out there? Because sentiment's a real thing.
I think that this index is telling us that the market is very bullish, very frothy, and that people are FOMOing to some degree. I think like this index is really like it's useful because it's to me it's like taking a glance at the bias of the market, the emotion of the market, and the emotion of the market is an emotion of greed. It's we're up, everything's still going up. Buy more, it's going to go up more. And I think as we start seeing these really high greed numbers, that is also going to have a correlation with the volatility, because it may go up a lot, it may go down a lot, and it's going to continue to trigger severe overreactions from market participants.
Yeah, I think what's different now is that we have quite a few narrative tailwinds that are going to be propping things up. We have the BTC ETF. We've got a halving coming soon. We've got Dencun coming soon. Interesting number I saw, and again, I don't know how to put this into context because I don't even know if it's really accurate. But I saw in more than one spot that Bitcoin ETFs are sucking up 12.5 times more Bitcoin than the network can produce in a single day.
I mean,
don't.
ETF inflows have spiked. They were
Yeah.
off to a little bit of a slow start, but they are picking up steam. And now we have our ETH ETF filings also picking up. We have the halvening in April. We have more Ethereum innovations in March. There is just so much going on that I think we're going to be sleeping a lot less over the next 12 to 24 months, Chris, frankly. We may have gotten a little bit used to getting some sleep through the bear market. I think those times are done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about to be a very interesting time. Hopefully for all of you, your Orange Coin DCA strategy has been going well. I did want to talk a little bit about that, Andrew, about mindset, right? Because like for anyone who is just now here, or if it's someone who has been around since the last couple of years, let's kind of talk about like mindset with should you have DCA'd pretty hard back down at 17K? Obviously not financial advice, but just thinking about the mindsets. Like now that we're at 51.5, do you feel pain about not buying back at 17 or buying regularly? I mean, obviously if you DCA, it doesn't matter what the price is, right?
Yeah, I think you're getting at a really good point, Chris, and it comes down to that like fear and greed index. Because really what the fear and greed index is telling you is it's telling you something let me phrase this better. If you emotionally want to buy now, but you didn't want to buy a year ago, and you weren't buying a year ago, maybe you actually shouldn't buy now. Maybe you should go back. You should make a plan. You should actually have a strategy, because what you absolutely don't want to do is you don't want to just buy the tops and sell the bottoms. And if you're new to the space, and if you're new to buying crypto and investing in crypto, it's going to be very easy for you to buy right now and then panic when we have a little bit of a retrace. You need to be very comfortable with number going down 30%, 50%, 70% if you're invested in crypto for the long term. Especially specifically like with Bitcoin and Ethereum, the majors. So yeah, I think the vast majority of crypto investors are going to buy the top and sell the bottom. And our individual human psychology is not that different from the average crypto investor. So the only way to not be average is to have a plan, to stick to that plan, and to not be emotional about it. And to buy when blood is in the streets, even if that blood is yours. And to sell or DCA out or rebalance your portfolio when everything is saying that Bitcoin is going to be $1 million tomorrow.
Boom. Beautiful. You should also do. Hit that like button. Give us a couple likes if you don't mind. Because we'd love for our like numbers to go up too.
That is a number I like to see go up.
Yes. Beacon to 100K, just like Bitcoin. Let's do it. 100K by the end of the year. Bitcoin and Beacon, 100K. Love it.
Honestly, I think there's probably, there's at least a 50% probability that both of those things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. Love it. So yeah, we talked about narrative tailwinds, right? Robinhood, old venerated Robinhood, they saw a ton of crypto trading in the fourth quarter help prop up their earnings, which
People still buy crypto on Robinhood?
sadly, yes.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you actually, I know a lot of people that still buy crypto on Robinhood. And they're,
Oh no.
and I think there's a fundamental, honestly, I think there's actually a fundamental knowledge gap there, because they're okay if it's just a cash position, because I don't think they're planning on taking their crypto they bought and taking it with them anywhere else. They're just treating it as
Right.
more of a cash position. So if that is your goal, if that is your overall idea of how you want to work your investment, that's fine. Buy it on Robinhood, buy it on Cash App, buy it on Venmo.
Hey. Don't put Cash App and Robinhood in the same sentence. Cash App's actually way better with crypto.
I agree. But I'm just saying from a self-custody standpoint. Actually, you can self-custody your Cash App stuff too. That's okay.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but like a big issue with Robinhood has been you can't actually send it off the platform.
I haven't looked in a bit, but yes, the last time I checked, that was also my my
But
understanding.
with Cash App, you definitely can at least buy Bitcoin and send it off the app.
But you're buying for them, you're buying for their market maker, and you're just representing a cash position that is part of their LP pool. So if you feel like feeding into that machine, not me, then something. In any case, the reason I brought this up is that this is also probably good for Coinbase, because their earnings are coming out soon, and if trading volume for crypto is up for them, most likely it's also up for Coinbase. And how could it not, considering they're like the partner of choice for every single one of the newborn 9 Bitcoin ETFs? So except for, I think, Fidelity. So I expect Coinbase earnings to be good. I expect Jangle to be swimming in a bathtub full of money as a Bitcoin holder, just like Scrooge McDuck. And I think these these could be headwinds. Another headwind, specifically for Coinbase, and this one,
sir, you're talking about tailwinds, right, sir?
I am.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Because tailwinds, they push you forward, and headwinds, they slow you down, right? That's how it works.
It is, but I do think
the naval analogy.
Yes, from the stern, right? Not from the bow, the stern.
Oh gosh,
I don't know.
Let's not go there.
Anyway,
I know less about ships than I do about coffee, and
I know nothing nautical.
Okay,
I know nothing nautical.
Yeah. Sorry. Keep going, sir.
That's okay. This one shocked me. Coinbase and Ledger, speaking of Valentine's Day, now in a beautiful relationship. What does this mean for those of you who are Ledger users? This means you're going to be able to purchase crypto from inside Ledger Live and using the same fee structure that you would pay at Coinbase. No additional KYC, the same speed that you would have with Coinbase, same security, and like I mentioned, no additional fees, and it comes directly into your ledger. This is actually, in my opinion, a good thing, because it's going to give you, so that was probably the one thing. And I know Karen has talked about this quite a bit. It's like, what's the easiest way to buy crypto inside Ledger Live? Now we have the answer. It's through Coinbase, which is probably going to be leading the charge for, most CEX-based activity around the world moving forward. Pairing this with your ledger, dare I say, a no-brainer play. making it simple, making it very easy. And let's say they find a way to pair in your Coinbase wallet, their version of their Web3 wallet, which actually is not a bad deal. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting recipe for success for both parties, because Ledger could really use all the good news they could they could muster after everything that's happened to them with their data breaches and their OPSEC issues, which they're not in the clear from. Let me make that fundamentally clear. We still do not recommend a Ledger as the first choice for a hardware wallet, but it is better than not having a hardware wallet at all. And you do need to have that safety and security out there. But their operations, their OPSEC, even their communications have not been stellar. That doesn't mean that they don't make decent products. So any initial takes on this, Andrew, about this interesting partnership, which has made purchasing crypto and putting it into your ledger a very trivial process?
I use a Ledger for some things. I never open up Ledger Live though. There's no need to. That's not how I use it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see there's more ways to buy crypto. I always want there to be more ways for people to buy crypto. But I don't have like a ton of thoughts on this specifically. Like Coinbase making plays. Not sure if Ledger was the best partner for if I was Coinbase that I would have chosen. I think I may have found a different partner with a little bit less baggage, personally. But more ways to buy crypto is great. It's better than less ways to buy crypto.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like I said, so I don't use Ledger Live either. I only use Ledger Live for I guess adding new coins.
You don't use it.
Yeah, I'm trying to justify a reason why I use Ledger Live.
You don't use it. It's okay.
Yeah,
you used to. I used to. We don't anymore. We
Yeah.
just use the hardware, not the software.
True. But if you're thinking about the ways to onboard yourself into crypto, if you already have a CEX account, Coinbase is faster. It's undoubtedly cheaper. Obviously, there are some fees depending on where you're at. But I mean, compared to some of the others, like trying to go through Transact, MoonPay, some of these other options that are available, like in MetaMask or something like that, the fees are where they're going to get you. Whereas if you do it directly through Coinbase, can be much cheaper, much easier to use. So yeah, I mean, if anything, what we're looking for at this point, Andrew, is anything that'll make it easier for people to get into DeFi. With as much as people push hardware wallets, which is probably not very hard at all, and needs to be stronger, being able to have a hardware wallet partner, which you got to give it to them. They are the market leader. Good marketing. I think it's a win-win for Coinbase as well as for Ledger. Does this improve their stature in the community? I don't think so, but it makes it a lot more convenient to get assets into crypto, which is probably the more important part. I do like that you don't have to do any additional KYC, so there's that. But I guess we'll see if users end up being the true Daniel with a comment, DN404. We'll talk about that in just a second. I'm glad you brought that up. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's move on to that. So we talked about ERC 404 last week, right?
We sure did.
A non-standard ERC token standard took the world by, well, took the group of degens and chads that talk on Twitter all the time by storm, because the first real big project, which is Pandora, almost had a shot at flipping BTC in terms of how expensive it got in terms of price. So the idea is that it's a way to have a hybrid token that is both ERC20, which is a regular ERC Ethereum token, and an ERC721, which is an NFT, which is historically an illiquid token, right? You don't get the value for an NFT until you actually find someone who's willing to buy it at whatever value you think that is. So ultimately it has a lot of illiquidity just holding it. So it's no different than, you know, a valuable car, a glove from a famous baseball player, a baseball card, anything like that. Things that don't have any inherent value until someone is willing to pay that value for what they believe it might be worth. Now, of course, that's not the only utility for NFTs, but it just happens to be something that that is what the ERC 404 experiment was looking to try and tackle. So Pandora was the first one that came out after the original project. Emerald was an issue because the developer who created it used ChatGPT to create the contract. They had to rug it, and then another developer came through and tried to fix it, and did to a degree, and created Pandora, which of course set off the craze. And dozens of ERC 404 tokens later, dozens, I can tell you dozens, came through in the last week. Multiple chains, not just Ethereum. We saw some on Solana with Ghost. I saw some on Cosmos, like on an Injective, Avalanche, Arbitrum, Base. I've seen these 404 tokens everywhere. I think I also saw one on Sui. But regardless of that, they all kind of had a flaw. And that's basically how the relationship between minting the NFT based on having one full token, that relationship happened. Now, OX Quit happened to have a, let's see. He basically had a post where he talked about the issues of what the 404 token means. And it all happened with one specific operation in the smart contract. So again, I'm in the weeds, so I'll keep it very light. Basically, the mechanism that mints that NFT token can be exploited, and he was able to find examples on how to exploit it. Meaning, you could find a way to mint multiple NFTs, which you could then turn around and request multiple ERC20 tokens from. So that is a problem. With that said, he kind of got some flack for it, specifically from people who are ERC 404 supporters. And he was like, well, you know, these are things that need to be addressed. And so he was like, I'll figure out how to fix it. So he got himself and a large cadre of very talented developers, and they created this DN404 experiment, which is, I don't know what the DN stands for, but it certainly doesn't mean delta neutral in this case. But he brought in Pop Punk and Saigar, two very, very gifted minds in this space. And they created something that is called the DN404. Now, I'll link the tweet here for you. But at its core, what it does is that basically the main portion you'll be dealing with is the actual ERC20 token contract itself. It's going to handle everything. Now, when it's time to mint the NFT, once you earn enough of that token to now have a full coin of it, there is a mirror contract which will get the NFT for you. It's essentially two separate contracts with something that controls them in between, which is a much more efficient way to go about it and much more familiar with today's programming standards. Whereas trying to create a brand new standard with the ERC 404 that you're kind of hoping that some people may want to build around. And some people did, obviously. Tons of chads were out there speculating on this. So the fact that they were able to bring it back to something that's a lot more familiar to a lot of people in the space makes it easier, A, to audit, and B, easier to most likely build on. So ultimately, it's open sourced. It's out there. The DN404 contract framework is out there for people to build on top of. And that's really about it. So that's all DN404 is. It's just another take on it, with essentially a lot of the security issues that Quit and Saigar were able to find and put together to make hopefully something like this a little bit easier, a little bit easier to execute, less vectors for exploits, and essentially for you as a buyer of these projects, a lot safer and a lot more peace of mind with regards to how you are going to be speculating on these interesting hybrid tokens. Hopefully that wasn't too much of a word salad, but again, it could be.
You want to bring up that picture of the Noah's Ark?
Let me see if I can find it.
I mean, it's in his Medium post.
Oh, in his Medium post?
One that I think you are.
Oh, I don't think it's. Oh no, this isn't the one that kind of talks about the 404. You're talking about the one where there's like the mixture of all the animals, and everyone's like, "What the hell is this?" But
yeah, because that I think is the simplest explanation of what this is.
Oh, and the other thing that DN404 does is it makes the process cheaper, so it uses less gas, which I think is probably, at least on mainnet, a welcome thing. But where does this go from here? No idea. Are more developers going to build on top of DN404? Hopefully. I'd like people to build on safer rails that are tested, that are well audited, and that's what hopefully this DN404 standard goes. So, but yeah, if you looked at Anon, if you looked at Ghost, if you looked at Pandora, Monarch, Crystal, all of the ones that are out there, those are built on the ERC404 project, and hopefully we'll start seeing more of these on the DN404 project. And just be careful out there. This is very high risk, obviously a lot of money going down for the majority of these. Most of these don't start out at fractions of a penny. They're starting out at like $400, $4,000 a coin, and it's just full speculation. Yeah, I do think Pandora still stays relevant because it was the first mover. So there's gonna be a lot of people fighting for any type of second or third place here, but it's kind of the flavor of the week in my personal opinion. I'm not going to fade it because I tried to fade BRC20 and look where we are with BRC20. There are bridges built directly to BRC20 blockchains. There's a ZK that was built, Citria, specifically to help lighten the load for things like this. So, BRC20 is here to stay. Will this be here to stay? Hard to say. But clearly, apes are hungry for many things. And this is certainly scratching the itch for a lot of them.
I think it's really key to have a mindset shift based on the market cycle. Because it's been almost a year since I said that BRC20s were stupid, and I'm standing by that. It's an incredibly dumb project. It's just dumb. But market go up, IQ go down. So just because something is dumb doesn't really matter. So yeah, I mean, Pandora, $190 million market cap. Is there any value here? Well, no. I mean, there might be value in the tech, but the value is not in this iteration of it. It's an interesting experiment that a bunch of degens are speculating on, and that's cool. They can do whatever they want with their money. That's what's amazing about DeFi and amazing about this space. You can do whatever you want, and you don't have to ask permission. But to me, like, mindset shift, doesn't have to like make sense for it to potentially be a moonshot, but also it's the experimenting and the tech and what is built after it, based on this kind of unholy marriage of ERC20 regular tokens and NFTs. It may emerge into something that has a bit more staying power.
When it comes down to it, if you can make money from it, we do love ourselves a good Ponzi.
Yep, you just need to call a Ponzi.
Yep.
And if we're saying that like something doesn't have value, doesn't have staying power, and is very experimental, that's another way of saying there is a game being played, and it's a greater fool theory game where the expectation of value is that someone's going to buy after you because there is no utility. Now, that isn't to say that the technology might not have utility later, but it doesn't right now, I don't think.
Getting there. There's a new one that is trying to bring in some staking options. Again, not really utility, but trying to find ways to keep staying power. I mean, we're well past the days of buying lottery tickets and whatever other games that these old Matic and BNB shitcoin farms used to do. You know, no lottery, no coin flip, you know, no simple casino type stuff. But yeah, apes are gonna ape. So just don't be the one holding the bag, I suppose. So I want to move on to something that's actually quite interesting that I really find interesting. So Circle, which is the consortium with Coinbase and Circle, which creates or is the custodian for USDC, the stable coin that everyone loves. They expanded their CCTP protocol back last year so that you can get native USDC from, you know, fiat to anywhere in DeFi, really, right? So they have, you know, direct things to Cosmos ecosystem, to ETH mainnet, places even like Algorand, Hedera, and Solana, with regards to getting native USDC one-to-one redeemable. So you don't have to worry about wrapped assets anymore. That's great. It helps with that, and it, you know, everything is, you do CCTP with 10 lines of code, and it, you know, brings deep liquidity all across the space. This is not the first time that there's been some sort of idea brought about to have a multi-chain fungible token. Layer 0 has what's called the omni-chain fungible token, or an OFT. It's a standard that helps in their ecosystem provide assets that you can actually bring back and forth across multiple blockchains. Joe is especially a good example of that, because you're able to take your Joe and have it native on Avalanche and bring it down to Mantle for when they have their launch of Merchant Mo. There are other OFT standards. Obviously, there are projects like Synonym. There are projects like Radiant Capital, which are trying to bring cross-chain lending to the space. However, it's not the most fluid setup. You do have to do quite a bit of setup to get tokens back and forth. Plus, it's also a bit of a proprietary technology. So last Monday, really excited to see that Axelar, which is the messaging protocol, they're partnered with many Web2 firms, including Microsoft, to bring Web3 and Web2 together. If you know Axelar, they have a wrapped version of USDC called Axelar USDC. And they've wrapped multiple tokens to try and get liquidity back and forth between the Cosmos ecosystem and other ecosystems, because they are at their heart a Cosmos blockchain. They have bridges that many of us use. I'm a big fan of their Squid Router protocol. In my opinion, it's one of the MVPs of the last 6 months. They had another bridge called Satellite, which is still there, which allows you to bridge assets very easily between EVM and Cosmos. They now have this new standard called the ITS, or the Interchain Token Service, which maintains fungibility and properties of any ERC20 token that is registered in their service. And you can move any of these coins anywhere in their 15 chains that they support. Interesting part about this is that it is open source and it is decentralized, which is very much in the same vein as CCTP, because obviously you can get the code and you can build it. Fractal, which is the layer 2 blockchain, optimistic roll-up built on the OP stack from Frax. They're actually going to be one of the first blockchains to be using ITS tokens in their blockchain launch. And it is a code-free option for teams to deploy any of these tokens in an ITS manner, which is probably the part that's more interesting as opposed to how layer 0 approaches theirs. So being able to instantly deploy tokens that are going to be natively available on 15 different blockchains. And these are EVM blockchains. So the interesting part too is that even though Axelar is a Cosmos blockchain, this is not available to their Cosmos brethren and won't be until later on this year. So this is an EVM only technology currently, which is fine. Obviously it's an ERC20 token standard. So that of course does not necessarily natively work on Cosmos. So yeah, I'm curious to see what omni-chain shitcoins are going to start taking advantage of this. To the lab, boys and gals. Andrew, what do you think about this? This is a pretty interesting move for it. To me, this is tailwinds in my personal opinion.
You know, to me, this looks like more deep infrastructure competition, which is good, because there are still serious unsolved technical problems in the multi-chain and bridging space. So I'm really happy to see this, and I'm happy that in this part of this cycle, I'm trying not to just use a bunch of like jargon words, and trying to present this in a way that's understandable, but the way that like the way to say it first is not super accessible language, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think it is great to see not just a monopoly on cross-chain interoperability, and to see many different players tackling fundamentally the same problems with very different tech stacks. So competition is good, especially around these key tough problems such as bridging assets safely across different chains.
Yeah, for some people who may not really see the value in this, and that's fine. The largest exploits in crypto history are bridge hacks because of wrapped assets. I mean, we practically almost lost Phantom because of the multi-chain vulnerability that, strangely, for some reason, Phantom had 45% of their assets in the multi-chain, backed by multi-chain assets. Stuff like this helps mitigate that issue, because you're going to have native infrastructure of interoperability where you don't have wrapped assets. And this is what's going to keep your assets safer as you move them from blockchain to blockchain, or just literally just investing them on blockchains, because you're not going to have to worry about the backing of those assets as much in an infrastructure like this. So the fact that it's no code, that's going to be the one thing. So I know that Axelar is going to be at ETH Denver. I will be talking to them very deeply about this process, because I think this is extremely important to the future of making more blockchains talk to each other. And they're going to be talking to each other. It's not going to be Solana, Ethereum, Cosmos, Polkadot, XRP, blah, 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 blah. They're all going to be starting to to come together and talking to each other and have this full interoperability. So it's almost like having an interstate system where you can go from any state that you like, find all kinds of opportunities all across this great space. And all of the roads you're going to be driving on are going to be safe. They're going to be well paved, and they're going to be taking you from point A to point B very, very easily. So something that probably honestly was just a pipe dream 2.5 years ago is now a very quick reality with something like this. So to me, this is huge news, specifically with how Axelar is operating with a lot of tech giants in the Web 2 space with partnerships. We're going to see more innovation coming down the pipe, and I think Axelar is going to be leading the way now with stuff like this. So love to Layer Zero. Thanks for paving the way and starting. This is a really big thing. And hopefully next version of Layer Zero, which V2 is coming soon, they can hopefully also address some of these issues to make it easier for teams to build on top of protocols like Layer Zero and Axelar. So, all right. I know I'm just super excited about this, so I don't know if anybody else is.
No, I mean, it's exciting infrastructure. I think it's kind of hard to relay exactly why. I think you did a good job there at the end talking about the interstate analogy. It's really hard to be excited about this unless you've been in this space for a while.
That's true.
I also have to say, like, I don't know, a little bit. Maybe there's some things I'm missing, but I'm kind of pessimistic about a truly interchain future. Because I think part of this conversation is about whether we're going to be multi-chain or interchain. And I don't quite understand how we can solve all the security issues with being interchain. And I think that maybe multi-chain is the best we can hope for. But I feel like that's kind of too both philosophical and technically in the weeds, kind of for me to broach too much on this YouTube stream. But it's certainly very interesting, and I love the user experience of a lot of Axelar's projects. So I'm fairly confident that whatever they put out there when they put out there is going to be usable.
Yeah, and I know you're really excited about the ZK narrative. I'm still super excited. This is coming back from Denver. I'm excited about the wallet narrative, because I do think, regardless of where the infrastructure goes, if the wallets mature to a specific amount where it doesn't matter what chain you're on, your funds will get there just as well, thanks to the underlying tech, right? Thanks to these interchain token standards, thanks to shared security, or these wallets being able to tackle all of those things back and forth with supersonic relayers or whatever the technology that's coming up soon is going to outline. We'll know more about that after Denver, but making it easier for the everyday person to come in and get started without having to jump through too many hoops or knowing to add all of these chains to their wallet through Chainlist. And if it's just there and they can use it, and they have the ability to fix any mistakes that they do, if they yeet coins or donk coins out into the ether, or click on a bad link and they can roll stuff back, which are things that are part of what we were coming out of when we were coming out of Denver last year. The tech is there. The UX just needs to get better, and there needs to be mass adoption. And hopefully Beacon will be at the center of all of that. So we'll go ahead and move on to the last topic, and that is the upgrade for Ethereum's Beacon chain, for the upgrade, which is called, it's Denver and Cancun, because it's a two-stage thing, right? You have both the execution and then the consensus pieces. So it's always put together. Like Shanghai was Shanghai and Capella, that became Chapella. This is Dencun. We have Denver and Cancun for the 2 upgrades. We have a date. March 13th will be the date slot 8626176. What that basically means is we're not exactly sure on the time because of block finality. It's not concrete, it's not fixed. So that could come a little early, come a little late, but roughly around that time is when they believe that's going to happen. It's currently still in the whole sky testnet, which is the last section before it goes live, but it's been through the other 2, so we should be pretty much good to go. It's going to bring about the one thing that people are talking about, which is the IP 4844, which brings in proto-dank sharding, which ultimately brings in the blobs, makes it cheaper.
Get excited for blobs.
Get excited for blobs. You know, myself being very blob-like, I'm very excited. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Chris. Oh my gosh.
What's that?
We're talking about very serious technical terminology like blobs, and you go and make jokes about it.
Sorry, my wife just handed me a Valentine's Day card. It's very cute. I only have fries for you. My wife loves me.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I want to be buried in potatoes. I love potatoes. Myself being a type 2 diabetic, this is a very, very sad relationship.
That's a problem, sir. That's not good.
Thank gosh for medicine. In any case. So yeah, ultimately, the whole point of proto-dank sharding is to help reduce L2 fees up to 90%. That's the hopeful outcome. So we'll see how well they bring in dank sharding as a way to Horcrux their way through with fees. But yeah, this is a good thing. Obviously, this is something that's been planned for quite some time, and we'll see how much better things get for both optimistic and ZK rollups after March 13th.
You see that ad there, sir, above the tweet?
Yeah, I see that. It's an Alio.
Yep.
I know you're pretty bullish on that blockchain. So
I wouldn't say that.
Oh, you're intrigued. You're bullish on the tech though?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see soon. I just think it's interesting that they're advertising.
Oh yeah, they should be. Everyone should be advertising. But yeah, this is something that's been talked about for quite some time. We didn't quite know exactly when it's going to be, but now we know it's going to be March 13th, which means the halving is actually not much later than that. So March and April are going to be gangbusters in this space. And we're kicking it off with the Starknet airdrop that comes in the next week or so. Kind of lukewarm reception to what people are getting. But, you know, I guess we'll see where Stark starts out. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. So that is what we have for you guys today. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. We're going to be at ETH Denver in 2 weeks. I'm excited to be there. Excited to meet all of you. We got some big announcements for next week. Just letting you guys know, get ready to get educated. And excited to reveal some fun things we've got planned for you all here. And Andrew, any thoughts before we head home? Quick thoughts.
Quick thoughts. Not quick thoughts, not deep thoughts. This is going to be a really fun year. The only unfun part of it is that if we're all really tuned in and focused on making money in this space over the next 12 months, there may be so much going on that we're going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. We're just going to need blinders. You're going to have to figure out what's the right place to focus your energy. And hopefully, at the end of 24 months, we'll be super up. And if not, We're going to have a talk about how we fucked it up.
Exactly. So don't F it up.
Exactly. That's all we have for you guys today. We'll see you guys this time next week, 1 p.m. Eastern for the next Beacon Roundtable. 07, everybody. Have a great
Talk
day.
soon.